Good morning, Rovers, and welcome to Product Review Thursdays. Now, just so you know, I get approached almost weekly to do reviews on products, and 9 out of 10 of those I refuse because they just don't make any sense to what I'm doing here on Wave Rover, preparing a sailboat to go around the world. Now, in this case, I said yes. I said yes to Wuben, who makes flashlights. Now, they only make flashlights, which makes them like a flashlight specialist. And these are pretty extraordinary, and I'll be explaining why these are going on Wave Rover with me for the circumnavigation. Now, if you're like me in the past, this is what I have purchased. These are cheap, disposable flashlights. They give a very dim beam after about a minute or two. They usually come in packs of 2 or 3, and there's a good reason because many of them fail so quickly. The switch fails. This came in a pack of 5, and the other 4 are now worthless. They're cheap, and I've probably spent a fortune over my lifetime buying multiple cheap flashlights that wear out or fail when I need them most. So when Wuben asked me to do a review of their high quality flashlights, I jumped at the opportunity because I wanted to see what the difference was. And boy, there is a difference. It's a worthwhile difference, and I'll go into the details now. The Wave Rover 650, a design based on my single-handed ocean voyages. She's small, light, but easy to build, and strong enough to cross any ocean. My name's Alan Mulholland, and this is the Wave Rover story. So when you get your X1 and you open the box, this is what you'll get. It's a nice carrying case that's securely holding the X1 inside. It has a belt loop on the back so that for me, this was a big bonus. I didn't know this would come with the light, but if you can have this on your belt, that means you're keeping your 2 hands free. So on a boat, you're going to be doing something with one hand, you're going to be hanging onto the boat with the other, and then you've got your flashlight on your belt. Also inside the box, you get the charging cable, which is a USB-C that plugs into the light. I'll show you that in a second. And this standard connector that you can plug into either your computer or a standard phone adapter. Also, terrific instruction manual. These days, so many instruction manuals are not very good, or they're online and you have to go through a process to get them. This time we have a great, and I've read this a couple of times because the light can do so much more than just your average flashlight. It's not just an on-off switch. It actually has a lot of functions. Great instruction manual. I have to give them top marks for that, especially these days when instruction manuals are terrible. So let's take a look at the light. So the first thing you're going to notice right off the bat is it's not a round soda can type light. And that's good. That's good for me on a boat, because if I have one of those round soda can lights and I place it down on a moving boat, well, it's just going to roll all around the place. So just like a carpenter's pencil being flat and it won't roll off a roof, it's the same with this light. It's flat and it's not going to roll around if I put it on a bunk or the nav table. So now the switch. So we have just one switch, and when we hit that switch once, it'll come on to the mode that I previously was on. Now, if I hold the button, it'll cycle through all 4 modes. So right now it's on the lowest mode. But if I need, there's actually a 5th mode, and to get to that, it's called turbo. You double press from any of those 4 modes I just showed you. So I'll double press now. Now you do not want to look into this light because this is 12,000 lumens right now. So I press once and it shuts it off. I press once again and it comes back to one of those 4 modes and it comes back exactly to the last mode I was in. So right now we're in the lowest mode, and it's pretty bright. Now that lowest mode on the back of the box, it tells us, I'll see if I can do this. It tells us right here, no, maybe I should hold it the right side up. It tells us right here how long each of those modes will last. So right now in the eco mode that I'm in, it's only 20 lumens of light, and the light will run for 220 hours. 220 hours, amazing. Now, if I go to the high setting, it's 2,600 lumens, and I'll tell you, you do not want to be looking into that flashlight when you have it on high, and you certainly don't want to be looking into that flashlight when you have it on turbo, which is 12,000 lumens. So on the high setting, 2,600 lumens, this flashlight will burn for 2 hours, and then you can charge it up. It takes 2 hours to charge this fully, and for those 2 hours of charging, you can burn through at a very high lumen rate, 2,600 for 2 hours, or you can have it in eco at 20 lumens for 220 hours. But either way, it's easy to charge. To charge it, you just open up this side port, plug in the adapter, and then it'll charge in 2 hours. Close this up, and now your flashlight is waterproof. Now, when you're operating it in turbo, which is 12,000 lumens, incredibly bright, that beam of light will go out 303 meters. Let's put that in perspective. That's 3 football fields in length. That's how far the beam will go. Now, bear this in mind also, that when you're in turbo, you only have about a minute of light before the light will transition down from that 12,000 down to 3,000 lumens, which is still really bright. So you have that brightness only for about a minute. Now, while you have that extra heat that's generated from that bright light, you have right here on this side a little waterproof fan that will cool down the the lighting source, and then over on this side we have a heat sink. So when you're operating this little fan comes on, and you can put your finger over the heat sink and you can feel the hot air rushing out through these ports. Quite incredible, really. Now, another reason I like this for Wave Rover to go on the voyage with me is because not just that really bright beam, which you can use as a beacon when if you need assistance, but when I turn the light on, and let's say I'll go a little bit brighter here. If I want to get a strobe effect, I have to press it 3 times. And this strobe is coming out at 3,000 lumens, so it's actually quite bright. Now, if I hit it one more time, does anybody recognize what's happening here? It's actually flashing out SOS. SOS in Morse code is 3 dots followed by 3 dashes followed by 3 dots. So it's putting out an SOS signal, and that SOS signal is coming out at 200 lumens. So at 200 lumens, you probably have about, I think, 28 hours, if that's right. At 400 lumens, you have 14 hours. So I would imagine doubling that would be about right. Again, just a single click puts us back to the modes, and then another single click turns us off. So now, whatever the last mode that was on, which was the bright, the high, I press it, and it comes back to that. Very, very simple. It does have a factory reset because each of those modes that we just said, the eco, low, medium, high. There, you can tailor all those to get them. Maybe you think it's just a little too low, but the next level is too high. You can adjust that, and in the manual it'll explain how to do that. But if for some reason you think, I kind of like the way the factory had set it in the first place, you can just, there's a factory reset mode, all done with a single button. So now if I hit this button 3 times, turn it on, and then that gets me the strobe. Why is that strobe important? Well, when I was on the original Wave Rover and I had my masthead light on, I was in a storm, they were big seas. I was within 200 miles of a pair of fishing trawlers and they couldn't see me. I could see them on AIS, I could reach them, I hailed them on VHF, and they couldn't see me. And I could see their lights, but when I took out a flashlight and hit strobe and put the strobe on the sail, they could see me. So a strobe is very useful at sea. It doesn't fall into the collision regs per se, but you want to be seen as a small boat. Standing your ground in a small boat because you're a sailboat under sail, and then you get run over by another vessel because they couldn't see you. Well, yeah, you'll go to the bottom saying, well, I did the right thing, I stood on. Really, the onus is on you for your own safety, and having a strobe light on board, I would say, is a necessary item these days when you go to sea. Now, the other light that they sent me, again, another incredibly well-made product. I mean, these are all aluminum housing. They're pretty tough. I can see no fault with them, really. And this is a great little light, and I've used this light by clipping it with this really solid clip right here on the back. I've clipped it onto my shirt, and I was working inside the boat, and I needed some light. I couldn't get my head inside the boat, so a headlamp was no good. And this was just the perfect little light. It was shining right in front of me, and I was able to get the work done. The switch for this is located underneath this nice little tab here at the top. Underneath the tab, as you can see, there's a USB port. And again, with the flashlight, you get the charging cable. And you also get a couple of extra O-rings and another incredibly well-written little manual. So there's the port to charge it, and it's also the switch. So we hit it once, and the light comes on. If I hold it, it'll cycle through all 4 phases, just like the previous light. So now, on the lowest phase, which they call moonlight, it's only 1 lumen, and you'll get an amazing 130 hours of runtime with this. Then if we go right up to the high on this, it's 250 lumens, and you'll get 250 hours on a single charge. To fully charge this takes about an hour and a half with your USB cable. This is waterproof, and it has an amazing magnet on the bottom, so you can actually affix this to something steel if you have it nearby. Now, some of the other modes that we have, I'll just shine it away from the camera. It'll come back to whatever mode you left off in. Now, if we press it twice, it goes to turbo. And turbo is, again, quite bright. So turbo is 1,100 lumens. But again, it'll only burn for about a minute at that incredibly bright light. After that, it'll cycle down to 300 lumens for the rest of its burn time, which is, they tell me, approximately 2 hours. And now let's try something else. And we've got our strobe, and if we want to send out an emergency, double click again, and we've got our SOS. Just like the Falcon, It's a very well-made product. Like I said, an aluminum housing. These are the type of flashlights you're going to keep around for a long time. These are not disposable. These are high-quality pieces of kit that have earned a place on Wave Rover for the circumnavigation. Well, thanks for watching, folks. These are mighty flashlights. They are pretty extraordinary. They will be coming with me on Wave Rover. I'm very happy with them. I've been using them for about the last 3 weeks on board Wave Rover. They got a bit of dust on them, and that's because I need to light up little spaces, and they do such a marvelous job and help me get the job accomplished. Now, next week we'll have another product review, and this time it's a care package that's been sent to me by Rockna Anchors. I can tell you this right now, it's far more than just anchors. So, as always, Rovers, forge your own adventure.